Welcome to the Indiana Football Postgame Show with Jim Coyle and Coach Shannon Griffith. A production of ISB Media. Now, here's your host, Jim Coyle, and game analyst, Coach Shannon Griffith.
Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time! 3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Float game for the win! Taylor's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Oh, now, here's Jim Coyle.
How's everybody doing? Welcome aboard. Hope you're having a great day and a good start to your week as we have hit the Tuesday of this week. Second day, of course. Let there be light as reaching into the fall and having some froggy mornings and of the sort. Hope everybody's just getting out and getting around, though. It's been pretty nice. The weather's going to be pretty decent for fall. It's going to be perfect fall weather. How's your week started off, and what's news to you? Of course, last night the Dallas Cowboys and the Cardinals go at it on Monday Night Football, and the Cardinals come out on top 27-17. And I'm sure Jerry was not happy, but what are you going to do? The Cardinals been kind of bouncing up and down this year, but they get it done. Cardinals snap a losing streak in beating the Cowboys. So that's what the NFL is about. I talk about it all the time. There are upsets, but upsets in the NFL are not like upsets in college to a degree, or at least the ones in college can be of greater nature. You can only go so far as it being an upset in the NFL. Colts hanging in there right now after losing this week. That's okay. They're still doing well in the standings where it matters, as they are sitting at the top of the AFC North at 7-2 right now. The Jaguars are behind them at 5-3. So they'll be fine. They shall be fine. You're going to have some of those games. Talked about it yesterday with Greg Rakestraw. It happens, man. It just happens. So it's just been a special football year in the state of Indiana, and that's going to continue. I think that type of play, it's not going anywhere. Indiana is going to continue to play well. The Colts are going to continue to play well. They're going to have success. This is going to be a fun ride, people. Get ready. Hope you are ready. I know a lot of people are making plans to go to the Big Ten championship game, which in some ways, yeah, that's putting the cart before the horse. But the Big Ten championship game is almost a certainty. Almost. So, but what are you going to do? The Hoosiers sitting at the top of the Big Ten along with Ohio State, likely to meet in Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship. And I'm wondering, how well will Indiana pull for that? How many extra fans will come to that game for two reasons? Number one, it's the Big Ten championship. against Ohio State and a chance to be number 1 in the country. And it'll be in Indianapolis, more centrally located for a lot of people, and a bigger venue. You know, Ohio State is going to travel. I don't know what the seating configuration will be. I think what's it hold, like 80,000? Let's see. Lucas Oil capacity. That probably won't get it. There we go. Lucas Oil Stadium, 63,000. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, they'll fill that up. Yeah. Oh, man. That's going to be fun. Yeah, they'll have 30,000 Indiana fans without question. So this is going to be a packed Lucas Oil Stadium when this comes around, when this event happens. It's just going to be interesting to see. Will we have 2 undefeated teams playing in Indiana and Ohio State? And if so, they will definitely be playing for the number 1 bid in the college football playoff picture, as well as the loser will fall no worse than number 3. If the participants in the Big Ten championship are both undefeated going in, they will come out 1-3. Winner, loser, 1-3. I'll guarantee you that right now. And the 2 spot will go to the winner of the SEC, and I think the loser of that game will get the 4 spot, knocking the ACC champion down and the Big 12 champion down as far as not getting a bid. But I think that one is right, number 1. But number 2, it will be according to the rankings. I don't think that you don't get hurt when you lose in a conference championship. You're not supposed to. And so now they'll have to move them a little bit, but I think that Indiana just goes to 3 if they lose. Same with Ohio State. If Indiana wins that game, Indiana goes to number 1. Ohio State will be number 3. And Georgia, Texas A&M, Alabama, whomever ends up in that spot for the SEC will fill that. It's going to be quite interesting as this is big time football, people. We're talking about the big boys. Who picked that game for the NFL for Monday Night Football? It's a great question because I did notice that the Cowboys are on twice in 2 weeks. And I'm like, they stink. Why? I don't know. It was a weak game. But when I saw Dallas was on twice, I am like, why? Could IU be number 1 in the college football poll that comes out today? There's an argument to be made. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that they're going to have to. Now, and I'm going to ask Mike about this when he joins us. Indiana goes to Penn State this weekend. Ohio State just played and beat Penn State 38-14 at home. If Indiana goes in to Happy Valley and beats them worse than what Ohio State did, now I think you have to look at potentially putting Indiana at number 1. We'll take a break. Mike DeCourcy's going to join us next. We'll talk about that very subject and much more. Appreciate you being with us, no matter where and how you're listening. Here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, we're back with more right after these messages. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Happy to have you very much, and just as happy to have our friend Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. How are you, sir?
I'm well, Jim. How are you?
If I was any better, I'd be you, friend. It's just going along. Another fun weekend of sports, and we hit the next week. Lots of things going on, but some things that are glaring. The gambling issue that came up. This is not your typical. This thing is some of it didn't really involve the NBA, but it doesn't matter. It does because of who it is and who it was. But a little surprising that these guys that are making this kind of money are still involving themselves in these kinds of activities.
Well, I think, Jim, you have to look at it that in a lot of circumstances, why would someone who is a white collar with a great job at a company involve themselves in schemes, white collar type crimes or potential crimes in order to make more money? For some, I don't think you can explain away why people do the things that they do to acquire more. For some, a lot is not enough, and there's no way to explain that away. And I think what's interesting is that the immediate reaction of most, not all, but most in the media is to condemn the proliferation of legal gambling and to say, oh, see, this is what was going to happen if you made it legal. This is going to happen. And my response is, yeah, you know what? You made it more legal, so we caught the people who were doing it. You may not have caught them if it weren't legal, and they may have done it anyway, because it's not like there was no illegal gambling going on out there. For goodness sakes, I mean, up until we started to get legalized gambling within the last decade, there was plenty of illegal gambling going on outside of Nevada. So we don't know whether things like this were happening at a high level. What we know is that this is a simple truth, Jim, and I don't understand why so many of my colleagues don't grasp it or don't embrace it. And that is that there are three entities really, that have a huge stake in sports being square. Everything being fairly contested with no with no chicanery. And it starts with the leagues, the various competitions, whether that's the NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, NCAA sports. They obviously have the most to lose if it's not square. But then there's the gambling sites, the legal books. Used to be just basically Nevada, but then it became FanDuel and BetMGM and Bet360, et cetera, et cetera. All of these sites have a tremendous investment in the competition being square, because if it's not, they can end up losing a significant amount of money on competitions that are not square. They could be on the wrong side of those sorts of things. If someone has inside information and the book is not aware of it and takes bets, the book is the one that pays out, so they could lose significant amounts of money. So they have a great investment in the legality, and then of course there's the competitors and the players, and they have a great investment in it being square. But I really think it's ordered in that sense: the leagues first, then the books, and then the fans and competitors. And so I think having those entities out there to police this is a significant boost to the sports themselves. Are we catching a lot of people thinking they could get away with it, Jim? Yeah, we are. But the more you catch, the more people realize, oh, this wasn't as easy as it was supposed to be. I lose my scholarship. I lose my money, my NIL money. I lose my future. I will have a tough time getting a job in competitive sports. And having that on my resume will make it difficult for me to get a job in a lot of industries as well. So, for those who are convicted of this or plead guilty or whatever, if it comes to that, they are making serious dents in their future, if not wrecking them altogether. So I look at this as progress in a way, because you get this first wave of chicanery out of the sports. And I think it's going to be really tough to replicate a second wave of that, because the athletes are going to realize, no, this was not free lunch. They may have thought it was. They may have been led to believe it was. But in the end, they get banned from their sports. They get asked to leave their colleges. They get asked, like I said, it'll be difficult to get a job in professional sports. Wherever that might be. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm sure they will lose opportunities to get involved in professional sports if they have this on their record. So I think I think that at the outset of this, it's a net positive. I'd rather there not be any, of course, but I'd also rather that if there is some, that it be noted and caught, and the public be notified, and the participants be punished.
Yeah, people didn't realize that you're going to get caught, because this is from a couple of years ago, and it's taken them a while, but this should send another message. There's been other messages, but the first time that that guy got caught betting on, was it Alabama baseball?
Yes.
And it involved the coach or something. I remember that when that first popped, I'm like, damn, these guys are good. I'm like, boy. And then every time after that, you're like, wow, forget it. Don't be a dumbass. I mean, that's the best thing I can say. Don't do it. They will catch you.
There's there's a really good documentary on Netflix about this. There was an incident that happened in the mid-90s. A guy named Stephen Smith, who was nicknamed Headache, and he, his nickname was Headache, and he got caught up in something like this, and he was very forthcoming in the documentary about everything that happened and how it impacted him. And honestly, if I were a coach, Jim, I'd have to rewatch this before I knew 100% how much I'd show of it. But if I were a coach of a college team, I would show that doc because it tells you how much of a mess you can get in. And so does the documentary that I think it was Netflix put together on the Washington Wizards circumstance with Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenden from I guess that was probably around 2010, somewhere around there. A really great, again, documentary explaining the trouble you can get yourself into, not necessarily in this particular venue that we've been talking about, but in a different sort of, it was more the in-house card playing type thing, and how much trouble you can get yourself into by going too far in that venue. So some really terrific documents, some films that show the documentation of how you can get yourself into different elements of trouble that can damage your future. And I think that there's a couple things that I wish colleges did more, Jim. And one of them is explain what the consequences are if you get involved in this. And two, financial literacy and understanding. With NIL now, I want more colleges to explain to young people, young men and women who are getting money, what are the smart things to do with your money and what are the dumb things to do with your money? Because there are lots of both. And I had a father who had done some work in the financial sector. And when I started working, I didn't really still at that point have that much of an idea. High schools and colleges don't do a very good job of this for their students at large, but especially now with the athletes, I think they need to do an outstanding job of this because there's so much money at stake for a lot of these athletes that could be the kind of money that could set them up for the future, or the kind of money that could just be washed down the drain.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it like I said, just don't be a dumbass, because that's the only sure way to stay clear of that stuff.
Yes, that's a great, put that on the board, on the whiteboard, right?
Just that's the new T-shirt. Just don't be a dumbass. That's like just say no. This is the new version of just say no. Don't be a dumbass.
Yes.
Indiana basketball opens up their season tomorrow night, Mike, at Simon Scott Assembly Hall against Alabama A&M, a basic tune-up game. But that they've got a game against Marquette in Chicago on Sunday, so it jumps up very quickly. We'll see what this team is built like, which we've already seen that. The basic of it to me is teams that are athletic with length are going to give Indiana problems. That's the long and the short of it. Sometimes I think they'll be able to overcome that with what they're doing on defense and how they run their offense at such a high level. I think there's certain teams are going to match up better with. I think that Purdue is a team that they're going to match up well with, to be honest with you. And we'll see, but there's going to be other teams that they don't. And Marquette, I'm not sure what they have. I've not looked at them yet, but I'll find out, and we'll find out what Indiana can do against a higher level team.
Yeah, Marquette, it's an interesting matchup because there are some similarities. I think they're both going to be perimeter first with these particular groups. Marquette's biggest guy, Ben Gold, is a primarily perimeter big man, excellent shooter. Ben Gold for a 6'11" guy. He's from New Zealand, and he's been with them for multiple seasons now. He was on their terrific team 2 years ago that came through Indy in the NCAA tournament on the way to the Sweet 16, and as was Chase Ross, who's a dynamic guard. Really like him, an outstanding shooter, a little streaky, but really terrific. They have back Zayd Lowry and Royce Parham, who were young players on last year's team. Again, most of their abilities are on the perimeter, and so I think it's an interesting matchup. You talked about length and their difficulty. The potential for IU to be to have difficulty against that. I don't know that that's necessarily who Marquette is. They were not super disruptive defensively a year ago. That was their problem, especially at the rim. I mentioned Gold. He's a big guy. He's like I said, he's 6'11", but he's not a shot blocker. He's not an elite defender. So maybe that sort of thing doesn't cause problems for them on Sunday. I like the matchup. I think it's really an interesting one.
Well, in a matchup like that, that's where I think that Indiana is going to have, I don't know if I want to call it an advantage, but potentially an advantage because of how they run their offense and how it forces the defense. They run it in a very quick fashion in such a way it's hard to make all these switches. You're not going to be able to make all these switches on time from what I've seen how they run. I mean, it's fast. You got to be moving. So if you're playing a zone, then that creates other problems with an offense like that. So they try to make up for that length issue with how they run that offense, and it's going to cause. That's why I think that a team like Purdue, who I mentioned them only because I know their makeup better than anyone else, and I'm like, okay, I think that's going to be interesting to see that challenge between the Indiana guards and Purdue, and but that's why. And where Purdue doesn't have that length at the guard position,
right?
And so I assume Marquette is going to be a great challenge for Indiana. If they can get that win, that's a great win for them to start off, because this is a team that I see finishing 7-10 in the Big Ten, Mike. I just don't see them anywhere above that. And I think that they're going to win and have to. A couple of games they're not supposed to win, but definitely they need to not lose the games they're not supposed to lose, for sure. Last year we saw Indiana give away games that they should have won. They should have won at Purdue. They should have beaten Maryland at home.
Yes, that's the one I was thinking of as soon as you said that.
Yeah, they just gave up games that they should have won, and it's like Indiana football. That's what Indiana football used to do. They did not win those games that you can win by simply doing the things that you're supposed to do. Indiana football, it's one of the things that makes them so incredible. They don't make many mistakes, Mike. They don't beat themselves. They're not doing dumb things, having dumb penalties. And that translates to basketball, turning the ball over, whatever the case is. You've got to do all the right things, and it's just got to be constant and consistent. And that's what we've seen in Indiana football. But I think that that's going to be the case for Indiana basketball under Darren DeVries.
Yes.
He has that mindset and that mentality. And boy, it's actually fun to watch this team, Mike, because of how hard they go on offense and defense. It's fun to watch them. And I think fans of course, they want to win, but I think they're going to enjoy the hell out of watching this team play, period.
Yeah, I think that, I think for Indiana in their first year under Coach DeVries, that the idea is to establish a quality of play, a style of play. This is who we're going to be. This is who we're going to be at our best. Perhaps get Assembly Hall to once again be a difficult place to win. It's been a little while since that was the case. For the longest time, it was nearly an impossible place to win. Now, some of that was quality of team, but it also, and I'm not placing this on the fans, because I mean, I haven't been to Assembly Hall many times that it wasn't a tremendous atmosphere at the jump, that it wasn't tremendous when it was going well, but the teams haven't always performed like with the idea that you're not winning here. You're not coming in here and winning, period. That's it. That has not been the case a lot in recent years. And so I think that those are the kinds of things that they can establish in the first year. And I do think that you're right. I think they can be a team like you mentioned 7-10 in the Big Ten, and that, like in the old Big Ten days, you're saying we're going to finish last, Jim, but that's not the new Big Ten. The new Big Ten, you're halfway up the ladder.
Yeah.
And if you're in 7 to 10 in this league, you have a shot at making the NCAA tournament field. That you're not guaranteed to make it at 10. Last year, I think there were 8.
10 stretching it. I think 9 is on the bubble.
Yeah, I mean, but you're in the hunt if you're 7. Honestly,
absolutely.
Some years you're on the bubble if you're as low as 11 or 12.
And I think that will, because Mike, of their non-conference schedule this year, which, well, they still have to win. And boy, Louisville and Kentucky, I've got to be honest with you. I do not see this team going to Rupp Arena and beating that Kentucky team. I don't see them going to Indianapolis and beating the Louisville team, but that's not to say it can't happen, especially early in the season, because that's when you can catch a team. You never know, but that the expectation is not there. But this Marquette, this is an opportunity.
Yes.
Boy, you can seize this opportunity, then you can say, well, we beat Marquette, the second game of the season. Then was it Kansas State or one of those corn growing wheat fields in the Midwest? I forget who the other one is. Might be but they haven't. They haven't had that.
It is Kansas State.
In a lot of time.
State.
There we go.
It is K-State. They're coming to Assembly Hall. Absolutely.
Yeah, having a little fun with that, people. I love Kansas. It's a great drive. It's 8 hours. Takes 8 hours. That gets 24 hours of your life you'll never get back. That's a rough drive, driving all the way across Kansas.
I've only made it as far as Manhattan. I have been to a game at their building, Bramlage, and that's a pretty cool place. And they've got PJ Haggerty in from Memphis, and terrific coach who was on the precipice of the Final Four a couple years ago. So it'll be a good challenge for the Hoosiers for sure.
Absolutely. Hey, I've got Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News with us. We've got to take a quick break. We've got lots more coming up. Back with all that and more right here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, right after these messages.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. Happy to have you, as well as Mike DeCourcy joining us from the Sporting News. Keep it locked where you have it on your radio dial, where throughout the day, for the best in sports coverage on the only sports stations in Fort Wayne, in the region, and in Evansville on 97.7 ESPN The Ref. 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, WJOB, and 1380 The Fan. in Fort Wayne. Mike, tonight the CFP poll comes out, the one that we've all been waiting for. That means basically nothing because we're still weeks away. Well, they put out 7 of these. I can't remember.
That sounds like a lot. It's Tuesday, so
1, 2, 3,
6.
4,
I think 6.
5. Yeah, thereabouts 6 at the most.
6 would be the selections themselves.
After the conference championship games will come. So, and to me, I'll be honest, I expect it to mirror the AP poll at the moment, at least at the top.
Right.
For Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia, is it Ole Miss? Maybe next, I forget, but and then Oregon. So it's the top
I would say one thing, Jim. Don't be surprised if Texas A&M is ranked number 1. Don't be surprised.
Really?
Yeah, I would not be. I would say that because of the victory over Notre Dame.
But what about Indiana has the best win in
the at Oregon win? I realize that. But I wouldn't be surprised at all either to see IU or Texas A&M, even though Ohio State has the pole position. I won't be shocked if Texas A&M or IU is number 1 in these rankings. And the reason being that the schedule for the Buckeyes has not been as strong, at least anecdotally. Any metric that purports to tell you that they have it is nonsense. It's glorified nonsense because there's not enough intersection currently between the various major conferences, between the ACC and Big Ten, the SEC and Big 12, and all the various permutations of that. There's not enough. So anybody that has a computer formula that tells you, oh, this is how it is, it's an educated guess. And I'm not demeaning any of the math involved. They just don't have the data. So you look at A&M, and they do have the at LSU win as well. So I think those 2 might be enough to supersede the 1 IU win at Oregon, even though the Oregon win is the best win anybody has. But it doesn't really matter because A&M still has to continue on, and they've got Missouri this weekend. They still have to play at Texas, and that will really bring it back around to sort of leveling things, because if they lose to the team that Ohio State beat, that will change some things. I think if the Buckeyes and Hoosiers continue on toward that potential undefeated matchup in Indianapolis, which would probably become the most consequential, I don't know, maybe not consequential because you're still both going to get in, but the most dynamic championship game that the Big Ten will have had since it started. Most of the Big Ten championship games, the majority have been the product of, back in the day, the overweighted East, the underweighted West. And so the championships games were always a little bit anticlimactic. Last year started to change that with a terrific game between Penn State and Oregon. But even that was a little bit down because everybody kind of knew that Ohio State was the best team in the East that just blew it. Or not the best team in the East, but one of the 2 best teams in the league, but blew it by the Michigan game. So this would be just a phenomenal game, and I think if they both get there undefeated, they'll both be really high seeds in the college football playoff.
Yeah, if things go, I've said this earlier, and I've said it a lot. If things go the way they are right now, and Indiana 12-0, Ohio State 12-0, and very, very possible and likely for that to happen when they meet, that I think the winner of that game will be number 1.
Yes.
And the final CFP poll. And I think the loser will be number 3.
Right.
Worst in that, with the SEC champion number 1 and the runner-up number 2, probably. Unless it's a really
You mean
bad.
number 2 and 4. You said number 1.
Yes. Taking that second spot,
Right.
Unless it's a really bad loss, because the Big 12, man, they've had a good run this year. And if there was an argument now to get maybe 16 teams in, this would be the year. But I said that and because of how good of seasons they've had. But then as I sat back and I looked at the teams and really thought about it, I said, but you know what? I only see maybe 5 teams that can really win the national championship, that I think can really win the national championship.
Okay.
I don't think that
and they are
other teams. I think those teams are at the top: Indiana, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Georgia.
I'd have to put Oregon in that list.
It's hard to leave them out. I'll be honest with you.
If Alabama's on the list, Oregon's on the list. If you say Alabama can't win it, I won't argue with you.
Well, I wouldn't argue Oregon on there.
I wouldn't argue if you said Georgia couldn't win it. I mean, my goodness, Georgia was in a game with Florida. Florida just fired their coach.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think all those teams can win it. But I think
Georgia's one of those teams that they keep, just like you said. I agree, but they're always like they always manage those situations. It's always like they get themselves in those situations. Tennessee game, they come roaring back. I mean, so they just scare me because they know that's a team that knows how to win. So that scares you. So those are the 6 teams that I think can actually win the national championship. To be honest with you. While these other teams are really good and it's going to be fun to watch them play, I don't see them winning a national championship. I just don't. But what the hell do I know? But it's going to be fun, and we get to see this come out tomorrow night. You think Texas A&M? I think it's going to be Ohio State because it's the easy route to go. They're number 1. They're undefeated. They've got the win at Texas over Texas, which didn't look good it didn't look good all season. Now it's got a little life because Texas beats Vanderbilt, so that pumps it up a little bit. But Indiana has the case to be number 1.
Honestly, win. Jim, if you're going to do this based on achievement, like if I were doing it if I were doing it for Fox, like I do the basketball, and I were trying to mirror the committee, I would look at it and I would say that at this stage, Ohio State has the weakest resume of the three teams. Not the weakest team. I think they're the best team. That's just a guess, but I think that, having watched them play a bunch, I think they're the best team. But I also think they can be defeated. I don't think there's anybody in this college football season that you look at and say, oh man, there's no way. But you're going to have to play great to beat A&M. You're going to have to play great to beat Indiana or Ohio State. I think those are phenomenal teams. But I honestly, if the committee comes out with Ohio State tonight as their number 1 team, then they're not even worth paying attention to until they put their final rankings out, because they're basically just saying, I'll look at the polls on Monday. Because if you're looking at it based on accomplishment, then Ohio State is 3rd in that list. And it's either A&M Indiana or Indiana A&M, because they're the ones that have the high quality wins. I think I would say that based on the Oregon win, that Indiana has the highest quality win. Like I said, the difference between them and A&M is A&M has probably the better second win. And that would, and I also think, just to avoid looking like they're copying the AP poll, hey, what's the answer on question 1? What does the AP say? In order to avoid that, I think that they might want to shake things up by putting A&M at the top, knowing. You know what?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Indiana's going to be number 1.
Yeah, I think I think it's a perfectly justifiable position, but I think that the thing that makes it interesting is that A&M will have more occasions to have to prove their worth than IU will necessarily.
And Indiana kind of gets screwed over because how big did the at Penn State game look at the start of this season when they were ranked number 2 in the country? And now they haven't won a freaking conference game, but this is still going to be a tough game. Don't if anybody thinks otherwise, they're not being wise. But yeah, they kind of get hosed on that.
But they don't. But it doesn't matter in the end, Jim, because they have that Ohio State game pending if they can get to it, and that's the goal. Now, get to that game and then take your shot. And if you, like you said, if you get to that game at 12-0, then the worst case scenario would be the 4th seed in the playoff, and probably you'll be 3rd, because what they'll want to do, I suspect, is rather than have the Big Ten championship game rematched in the semifinals, I think they'll want to have the possibility of them being they'll not having to play in the semis, and so 1-3, 2-4, whoever looks like the most accomplished team on December 6th or whatever it is would be 1. Then the other would be 2. Then the runner-up from the first would be 3, and the runner-up from the second would be 4. So, I don't think you want Big Ten, SEC rematches in the semifinals. And not saying that automatically happens, but I don't think you want to set it up so that's what you'd be looking like, because then you're really what you're doing is you're saying that none of the games that came before mattered much, and I don't think they want to go there.
Yeah, it's something that for Indiana fans to kind of hold on to, that is, while may seem crazy, and I know that even a year ago, it would have been crazy, but the possibility for Indiana to win the Big Ten championship, to win a national championship, to have a Heisman Trophy winner all in the same season is very real. And then you add the possibility of the Indianapolis Colts could win the Super Bowl. There's a storyline for you, Mike, right there.
You're leaving out the fact that
the basketball state becomes the football state.
Well, yeah, but you're also leaving out the fact that the Pacers played in the NBA Finals.
Oh, yeah, I said.
And the Fever were in the conference finals, or they don't really call them the conference finals because they don't set it up that way, but the effective equivalent of the conference finals. It's been a pretty good year in Indiana. And I will tell you why it's been a great year, Jim. And that is because it's the first full year in which I didn't live in the state. Whenever Deb and I leave somewhere we have lived, things always get better. It's usually structural. All the things they've been promising to build in the city finally get built. But this time it's all sporting. It's all competitive success. So either way, you can thank us however you wish.
Oh, man, I'm sure that's not the issue, but man, that's pretty cool, especially for a state that, per capita, it's mind boggling. 7 million people in the state, when I can list a bunch of cities real quick that doesn't have more people than that, but that are, up there.
New York, LA, Chicago, all have more people than that.
Oh, Houston doesn't have more, but man, they've got probably 4 million or something.
Oh no, Houston's pretty much the metro area anyway is definitely more than that. So it's pretty remarkable.
Going to be moving there. I don't like that. It's too big, too far away. She got her car last year. She was there for an internship a year ago, and Houston had a snowstorm. It was was crazy. I mean, a serious snowstorm, but they were snowed in for like 3 days. Didn't go out. But her car got stolen, and like the first weekend she was down there, didn't even know it for 3 days because of the snowstorm. But so they steal cars during snowstorms down there, man. So yeah, not what I was looking for. But man, this is set up to be incredible. The football season is just. I know everybody keeps complaining about certain things, and there are certain things we would like to see fixed,
But at the same time, Mike, we don't want to, this game is really fun right now, and it needs to be just guided, not changed. Don't jerk things out to where it makes too many changes, in my opinion.
Well, what things are, I mean, now that we've gotten the seating right, what are the issues now? I mean,
no, I don't mean for that. I meant for the game overall. When you're talking NIL,
I got you,
and all of that stuff. There definitely we need to find some guardrails of certain things. So it's everything is within the realm of fairness, and because it's become better than anyone could have thought. No one could have thought that this would be like this. I mean, Vanderbilt was in the top 10 a week ago and played a good game against Texas. They just lost is all. So, and you've got Indiana at number 2 right now. That's crazy. Now, some of the other teams still same old, but there are a lot of good teams out there. Cincinnati was good and fun to watch. Those teams from the Big 12, I had a blast watching them, to be honest with you. Love watching those football games. And the SEC does not have a dominant team at the top, but it has a bunch of teams that are tough to play. So there's a lot of changes. It's different. They're the Big Ten kind of opposite of the SEC right now. The Big Ten's got to get some teams to sack up, in less of a better word. Nebraska and USC, for example, they've got to get better. They've just got to USC. They've got to get better quick, because this spinning your tires in the mud thing has been going on for a few years.
I think that you do have to remember. I mean, you've got Indiana that got better. Oregon has been terrific. Ohio State, Michigan is playing very well and continuing to grow, and I think will become a challenge for the Buckeyes on the final day of the regular season. The game will be at the Big House, so they'll have a significant crowd advantage, an overwhelming crowd advantage. So I think that game will be outstanding, and so it would be nice if Nebraska had been able to hold on to the progress they made early, but they let one get away over the weekend. I think Maryland came really close to getting over that hump, but their schedule was very challenging, and as shown on Saturday against the Hoosiers, it's just they aren't ready for that level of challenge yet. But SEC is not as far off as you think. I'd say that SEC is a reasonable second-tier team. The only problem is I think that the upper echelon of the Big Ten, I think IU, OSU is a stronger 1-2 than exists in the SEC right now. And I think that makes it harder for those middle-level teams in the league to make the kind of statement that you'd like to see made, in a sense. But I do think that those two conferences have been outstanding, and the Big 12 and ACC have been highly competitive. They have not produced a team of the nature that we're talking about, IU, OSU, A&M, etc. But they have produced some very good teams and some really compelling football, and it goes back to why this college football playoff is such an improvement, because there will be representation. Whoever wins the ACC, regardless of the fact that it's been really competitive and jammed up, somebody from that league, at least one, is going, and maybe more. The same with the Big Ten. Someone is going, whoever wins the Big 12, whether it's BYU or Texas Tech or Cincinnati, whoever, somebody is winning that league and getting into the tournament. Just a couple of years ago, Jim, it would have been the 4 teams from the Big Ten and SEC, and that's it. That's who it would have been. And then everybody else has been watching. And all these games that are compelling now, Utah and Cincinnati on a 10:30 p.m. start on Saturday night, really, really compelling. I think turned out to be a great game. Utah blew Cincinnati out, but at least stayed up for the first half because it matters. And that's what's so great about college football right now.
And there were several top 25 teams that went down over the weekend. So you just never know, man. Any given Saturday, they'll have to steal that.
Where'd you get that
Saturday?
Where'd you get that one from?
Just came to me out of nowhere, man. The great Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. You should be following him and checking out all of his content. Michael, we appreciate you, sir. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, Jim.
Absolutely. Mike DeCourcy joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. More coming up. Dylan Sinn joins us next after these messages.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday, and Dylan Sinn joins us. Normally he is with us on Wednesday, but he'll be on assignment, so not able to do so then. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Jim. Happy to be with you on a Tuesday. Very excited to switch it up for a week.
Oh yeah, man. Makes a big. Well, instead of talking about the CFP poll out, we'll have to talk about the CFP poll that's coming out.
That's right.
I was talking about that some with Mike DeCourcy there a little bit ago, and you know who's going to be number one. It's not as clear cut as people think. Ohio State is the easy pick, and if you look at the AP poll, but that's not always the case, because the CFP selection committee, they take in a bunch of metrics, a lot of different information, and it's not, I think there might be less bias in the CFP than the AP poll, to be honest with you, because the AP is a lot of regional, there's a lot of regional voting, but it doesn't always matter because you can't tell where somebody comes from. But right now, Texas A&M getting one AP number one vote, but that's coming from a guy in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, he could have graduated from Texas A&M. Who knows? Indiana, 11 first place votes, and that was the same as last week. So I was wondering if there was going to be an increase between last week and this week after the dominant showing by Indiana and a win by Ohio State. That wasn't impressive to me to win 38-14 at home over Penn State with the problems they've had. And now the interesting thing to me, this poll will be out, but after Indiana plays Penn State this weekend, let's say they beat them 41-10. They beat them worse at Penn State than Ohio State did at home. I think that there's no way at that point you'd have to have Indiana at number one if they don't start at number one.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. It's interesting to me because So you look at the ESPN, and they have what they call their FPI, which is their football power index. It's how good they think teams are going to be going forward. Then they have their strength of record metric, which is what teams have done so far, just based on who they've beaten and how badly. And so the interesting part to me is that in FPI, how good they think teams are, Ohio State is number 1, and Texas A&M is number 3. In the strength of record, what you've done so far, Texas A&M is number 1, and Ohio State is 3. And Indiana is number 2 in both of those metrics. And so I guess the question is, for the committee, what do you value most? Do you value how good you think a team will be going forward? Do you value what they've done so far, or some combination of the two? And I guess we'll have to see, because I think that you could make a case for Indiana as number 1 on the basis of any of those 3. I'll be honest, I don't think the committee is going to make Indiana number 1. To me, I think Ohio State is going to be number 1. And then I think, to me, the question is whether the committee decides to rank Indiana number 2 ahead of Texas A&M, who is undefeated.
I think that would be very would be very disingenuous to me. Yes. If Indiana is lower than 2.
Yes, I think if it will be the committee, it will be a question of, does the committee want to send a clear signal that they think the SEC is better than the Big Ten? Like, that would be the reason they would do that, is they're saying, look, we like Ohio State, we think they're great, we think Indiana's done a good job, the SEC is better than the Big Ten, and therefore Texas A&M gets the nod. I don't think they'll do that, but if they do, that's why. And so everything else would have to be interpreted through that lens, because that would be obviously the lens they're looking through. I do think we'll probably see them match the AP poll and just do Ohio State number 1, Indiana number 2, Texas A&M number 3. That makes the most sense to me right now. I think it's probably the order in which I would pick the games. And so we'll see from there. But all
right, but let's talk about Ohio State and Indiana right now. Well, let's compare their resumes.
To be clear, the way I think about this, Indiana has a better resume. I have Indiana ranked number 1 this week. However, I think Ohio State would win on a neutral field. I think you can make a distinction between those two things. And so that is the way.
Why is that?
Because I think Ohio State, what we saw in the offseason and heard in the offseason, and what we saw last year, is that Ohio State learned a lot from its run to the national championship last year. They played 16 games last season, and they were exhausted by the end of it. Ryan Day talked about that a fair amount. He's like, look, that is a long, long season. And so they have spent most of this year keeping it neutral. They get up by 2 or 3 scores, and they just absolutely park it. They do not care what happens after that. And so I don't think we've seen Ohio State really put the screws to somebody in the way that Indiana does every week. And I think that
when you don't do it, how are you always going to be good at doing it when you're called upon doing it and you haven't been practicing it, haven't been?
That's a good question.
Say Indiana, who that's their milieu, baby. That's what they do.
That's true. It's a good question, right? It is absolutely a good question. And I think you can absolutely make a case that Indiana has just been more impressive because they've decided to be more impressive, essentially. It is one of those things where it's maybe you don't give Ohio State points because of what they could do. And that's why, again, I do have Indiana number 1 in my poll, because I do try to make my poll what you have actually done. But I would pick Ohio State on a neutral field. I think it would be a great game. I think it's a matchup of the 2 best teams in the country, and I think it would be fantastic. I'm hoping we get to see it in Indianapolis. But that's just kind of the way I'm coming at it right now. And so I think Ohio State has another gear they have not shown yet because they haven't had to. They're just kind of. That's also, to be clear, that's also why I am not impressed by any of the Julian Sayin Heisman Trophy talk for Ohio State, because why? All they're doing is parking the bus and having him throw a bunch of basically short, wide open receivers, and they haven't done a whole lot, right? They haven't played a team that I am super impressed with yet. I think Oregon and Iowa are better than any team Ohio State has beaten. And that includes Texas. I am just not impressed by Texas, frankly. And so they're getting better as the season goes on.
I have not been
right.
all season.
But so I think IU has been more impressive. And if I'm basing it off of resume, IU is number 1. And I think Fernando Mendoza has been the more outstanding player. I think there is a gear Ohio State has not turned on yet because it hasn't made to.
Indiana at the moment has the number 1 scoring offense in the country at 46.4 points per game. They have the number 3 scoring defense in the country at 10.7 points per game. So, let's see, where's Ohio State on? I don't even see them on the offensive side.
They're 17th in offense. I believe it's
Okay.
like 34 points a game, and then number 1 with a bullet on defense. They're giving up like 6.8 points per game on defense. It's crazy how good their defense is.
Yeah, and I will say that Indiana has just given up some garbage points. They gave up one against Maryland when the defender fell down. That was in the third quarter. That's only the third touchdown, second half touchdown Indiana has allowed all season. All season, people.
The first one since week 1. They hadn't given up a touchdown since week 1 in the second half. That
was a garbage fourth quarter touchdown.
Absolutely.
So think about that. It's nuts. And this I don't think that there's a difference between the Ohio State and the Indiana defense, if you want to be honest with you. They're giving up nearly 7 points per game. Indiana's giving up 10. You know what? Boom. Ohio State has not played an offense like Indiana. So you add to that, in my opinion, and we'll see. And Julian saying, yeah, he's leading the country in percentage, but then you've got Fernando Mendoza, who is he still leading in touchdown throws in the country?
He only had one yesterday, or he only had one on Saturday, so he might have slipped off the top spot.
He's one behind Sawyer Robertson of Baylor.
Yeah.
It's at 25. Robertson has 26. Julian Sayin from Ohio State behind them at 23. So, and just this should be a knockdown, drag out, heavyweight championship of the world type of matchup.
Yes.
Without, the hype should not be. It's going to be hard not to hype this matchup. Because there are so many storylines, and now I'm talking about it as if it's guaranteed to happen. It's most likely going to happen. So let's talk about Indiana going into Penn State this weekend. They've got to take care of business there. And ironically, Penn State coming off of a game against the Buckeyes. So it's going to be good to have a very, very a common opponent matchup that quickly together, as opposed to someone playing them the second game in the season and playing the 8th game in the season. That's a huge difference. But now we're going to see similarities, with the exception of Penn State will be at home, which will make it a little more difficult. But we've seen Indiana already handle situations at Iowa and in Oregon. So this is going to be a bigger one yet at over 100,000 people. But I think that they've gotten to the point to where they are handling this, and this is helping them for the CFP, the Big Ten championship. If they make it there, they can make it anywhere. Oh, kidding. There'll be 63,000 people there, half of which are going to be Ohio State fans that are going to be loud. That'll be a great, great environment. But I think that Indiana can go to Penn State and take care of business, but I would love to see them beat them better than Ohio State did, just to see how that weighs on this committee.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it is an opportunity. They already have one common opponent where IU just took them apart piece by piece with Illinois, and Ohio State won convincingly, but not in the same blowout fashion. And so there's one there. And if you can do it again, that I think probably would weigh pretty heavily on the committee, and you might start to see a little bit of movement there. And so, yeah, it is a nice opportunity for them to have kind of, right, like you said, back to back. All right, you played them, and then we played them. What was the difference, right? And I'm interested to see. You talked about the home environment for Penn State, 100,000. I am interested to see what that crowd is like, because they've lost 5 in a row. They're playing under an interim coach. They have a backup quarterback. There's just not a lot for them to play for. It seems like the team is playing hard. They played hard against Ohio State. There was no quit in that team. They have talent, and they brought it to bear for a little while against Ohio State. What is the crowd going to be like? Is the Penn State fan base still invested in this particular team? Do they care if this team goes to the Music City Bowl, right? Like, do they care if this team goes 6-6 versus 5-7? I don't know, and I think we'll find out on Saturday because they haven't had a home game here in a little bit. It might be the first home game since Franklin got fired, actually, and so we'll see whether they have an opportunity to affect that game and Indiana in another tough road environment if they can handle it. Because again, they did pretty well against Oregon in terms of handling it. I thought they were very confident and sure of themselves even in the toughest moments of that game. Iowa, I think there was a little bit of shakiness in that game, and they figured it out as the game went along, and that helped them against Oregon. So now you take the next step, as you said, in that progression. It does shape up very well for Indiana in terms of growing as the season goes on. And then you get to come back home the following week for Wisconsin before you finish at Purdue. So this is the week. Hey, go out. Like, this is a team, again, like Oregon, that is on paper by recruiting rankings vastly more talented than Indiana. And so it is an opportunity to say, hey, again, like I thought Mikhail Kamara made a good point about this on Saturday, was like every week people kind of start over with Indiana. It's like, well, how good are they really? Every single week. And so every single week they got to go out there and show how good they are. And this is a real opportunity against a team that isn't actually that good, but has a helmet that people recognize. And so it's an opportunity to, again, just show we not only belong on this level, but are better than this team that has a helmet that people recognize.
Yeah, without question. And I think it's going to be fun. I think they're going to be, while seems to be a lot of people that are, I don't want to say rooting against Indiana. I think that when it comes down to it, there's going to be a lot of people rooting for Indiana when they get to the games, whomever they end up playing, because of there's a certain faction of people that are tired of seeing, was tired of seeing Alabama and Michigan and Ohio State and Georgia. And that was it. Just rotate them all in. Oh, throw Clemson in every now and then. And then that was it. So, but now we're getting a mixture at least. We're getting some appetizers, some starters, and that's exactly what these games are. They're appetizers and they're starters, and then we get to the entrees, the big boys, and that is exactly how this college football playoff is laid out. And but you never know what your entree is going to be. That's the good thing, and much fun. So let's see, what was I going to ask? Indiana never been. First of all, can you imagine if Indiana hit number one in the CFP? That would be another, never having happened in 136 years of football. Although it would not be the AP poll. I did notice in the AP poll, Texas A&M received only one, or I mentioned that earlier, only one number one vote. So I don't know that that's a prevalence that they're going to be number one in this CFP poll tonight. I just think that they're going to take it. I think that Indiana should be number one, but I don't know. If they put Indiana number one, that's shaking it up a little bit and causing some stir and some attention. If they put it out like the AP poll, it's like Mike said it earlier. It's like, what the hell's that doing? It doesn't do any good. Why waste our time with that? So because
the way they've done it in the past is they usually stick relatively close to the AP poll, at least in the first rankings, and they have one thing that they kind of shake up. Like, that's kind of been the way they've gone about it. They have one team that is different than a lot of people expect, and it ends up creating a topic of discussion. And so we'll see. Maybe Indiana is that. Maybe it's maybe they're way lower on Alabama than most people because they take that loss to Florida State into more account than most people do. I don't know. It'll be something. There will be some topic of discussion coming out of this thing where everyone's like, "Whoa, what in the world is that?" And then the committee will go up there. And the committee chair will go up there and give some tortured explanation of why they did this that doesn't really make any sense, and we'll go from there. But yeah, usually there is at least one major topic of discussion coming out of these rankings.
Yeah, and I look forward to just to see what it's going to be like. Just to see this is going to be crazy anyway.
with Indiana being where they end up, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. One thing is for certain: if they maintain there's what they're doing and finish undefeated as they should, which again, think about this: Indiana going 12-0 in the Big Ten, and they will be playing Ohio State on a neutral field. And I like their chances against Ohio State on a neutral field. I also think that it would be very possible and this could be the greatest thing, period, for Indiana fans, Big Ten fans, period. If either Indiana or Ohio State were 1-3, and they ended up playing each other again for the national championship, eliminating the SEC schools, that would be just the greatest stick it to Paul Feinbaum thing that you could say. But he'll still come up with but what people don't get, and I do, half of that is a shtick.
He's playing a character, right? It's a character. He's the SEC guy on TV.
It's easy, man. That is so easy. What stuff that he's saying, you want to get a reaction? There you go. Guess what? I'm talking about it right now. And that's exactly what is wanted. I can sit here and say the SEC sucks, but I'm not going to do that because I don't believe it. And I would love to have a bigger audience, but I'm not going to be a clown with a beating a drum or whatever to do it.
But you know what that says, though? The fact that he is using Indiana as that kind of shtick, it means that Indiana moves the needle, right? Indiana football
can't get Indiana out of his mouth.
Indiana football is moving the needle in a way that, like, who could have expected that even 2 years ago, right? Like, that is a topic of discussion that people want to hear about, is Indiana football. That is the topic that he has chosen that is going to grow his audience. And he's probably right. Indiana's the biggest story in college football right now.
And Kurt Cignetti, he loves to hit
absolutely. And Kurt Cignetti is the biggest story in college football, the what he's been able to do over the last not only the 2 years in Indiana, but the year of James Madison, where they won 11 games in their second year in FBS. Like, that is the story of college football over the last couple of years here, is Kurt Cignetti's wizardry. And that is what moves the needle. And he is the head coach of Indiana football. That is just, even just kind of putting it in those terms, it is crazy to reflect on.
Yeah, Kurt Cignetti is moving the social media needle like no one before. And people know that. And even though this season he has been all about business in the pressers, in post game, in the pregame pressers as well, like yesterday, he is straight business now. He's not cracking quips and saying Google me and anything like that. He's not giving billboard material. He is completely different in that regard this year. So much so that if you go to YouTube, social media, whatever, but you'll still see tons of content, of videos that are with the thumbnail. You're going to see Kurt Cignetti this, Kurt Cignetti that. They're having to make things up to draw people in now because he's not doing that.
Yes.
And I find it very funny, but he's still everywhere and people see that, and boy, is he a draw. And I'm sure that there are just people that have nothing. There are so many people that have nothing to do with Indiana media, anything, that are putting this stuff out.
Yeah, it really is crazy. Like he moves the needle in a way that no one else in the sport is. Like there used to be characters among college football coaches, right? Like Steve Spurrier was a character, right? Mike Gundy in his prime was a character, right? I'm trying to think of who else. Like Pete Carroll to a certain extent at USC was a character. They're not characters in college football anymore. The coaches are all kind of the same, and they're all trying to stay business-like and stay professional, and they're the CEO of their organization and all this. Kurt Cignetti, for last year at least, was a character, and he has not really been that this year. We're still getting the Kurt Cignetti sideline faces which I appreciate. He's still, every time the camera pans him on the sideline, you get the score bug at the bottom. Indiana up 34-0, and Kurt Cignetti scowling like he's never been happy in his life. But he's not playing the character anymore this year, because the character, as he has said multiple times, was what he felt the fan base needed when he first got here. He was like, look, they don't just need a good team. They need someone who is going to inspire them, essentially. And so once they went 11-2 last year, made the playoff, and they were good again this year, he's like, well, they don't really need that anymore. The fan base is showing up regardless of what I say in a press conference. So he doesn't need to play the character anymore. And that's probably the right thing for IU as a football team, but it's our loss as the rest of the country not getting to hear whatever he comes up with that week.
Yeah, but at the same time, he knows that he wants to be respected by everyone. I noticed that while in the AP poll, Indiana received 11 first-place votes. In the coaches poll, 1 first-place vote. I find that interesting.
I actually do as well. I do think. I mean, we know that the coaches aren't really the ones who fill those out. It's some intern in the sports.
I know, but
but
just for the AP poll, we can find out who votes what. Is that the same for the coaches poll?
I don't believe so. I don't think we can.
That's crap, man. That's crap.
Yeah. And so it's. I find that really interesting as well, because I do think there are even coaches who still don't believe that a team with the overall level of recruiting talent. I want to make this clear. Recruiting stars on their team. Indiana has way fewer recruiting stars than just about everyone around them at the top of that poll. And there are coaches who still don't believe it's possible to be as good as they very clearly are with that few recruiting stars next to their name. And I guess we'll find out. Again, we're probably gonna see Ohio State play Indiana. Ohio State has more stars than anybody, and we're going to see these teams play in Indianapolis. We're going to see how good they really are, and I am fascinated to see how that goes.
Absolutely, it's going to be the top game of the season in college football, at least for that moment. But there will be more after that with the college football playoffs, and I think that this could be. Well, obviously, it's only the second iteration of the 12-team playoff, but man, this is looking really good. Like, it's going to be fun. Even in the beginning, you're going to have some fun games to watch, I think. But I think once you really get at it, boy, when you get these SEC and Big Ten teams playing, which they're going to, it's going to be very, very fun. And it's going to, the fan bases and factions of the SEC and the Big Ten. Oh man, you want to talk about getting it up and getting going, because I think this is going to be a season where one of the two can say, yeah, I told you, we're better than you.
We didn't really we saw it a little bit on the field in the playoff last year, like Ohio State beat Tennessee, but that was about it in terms of SEC versus Big Ten last year in the playoff, if I remember correctly. That was, I'm trying to remember if there were other matchups between those conferences, but I think that might have been the only one. And so I guess Texas, Ohio State also, and Ohio State won that one. But we didn't get to see several games between the conferences, right? Ohio State was kind of carrying the banner for the Big Ten. And I think this year, Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon, I still think Oregon is a very, very good team. I think all three of those teams are have the ability to make a deep run and probably will face at least one SEC opponent in the playoff. And so we're going to see. We're like, the SEC talks about depth all the time, and that's great. And I think they probably have more teams you could call good than the Big Ten. But I think the top of the Big Ten is better. And we're going to see that on the field in this playoff. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I really do think this playoff is going to be fascinating because, first of all, we're 11 weeks into the season now. We really don't know the composition of the playoff really at all yet. Last year, you could kind of start to see the outlines of it. But this year, there is a lot of movement that is going to happen in that 8 to 12 range over these next 4 weeks here. It is going to be a dogfight down the stretch here. It's going to be really fascinating.
That is true because the Big 12 is a little better at the top for them than they have been. You've got now Cincinnati has already been taken care of now
unfortunately. In Nebraska, they've been taken care of. They're out of it, in my opinion, after losing to USC. But you've got teams like USC, like Michigan, who, hey, if Michigan, and someone brought this up yesterday, if Michigan were to beat Ohio State at home this year, Michigan goes to the Big Ten championship game because they would have one loss.
They would have one loss. Yep.
The head-to-head over Ohio State. Yep. But so that's still a possibility, although I would find that very unlikely.
Although it'd be interesting because I'm not sure what the tiebreaker is. Who would go then between Michigan and Oregon? Because they would both have one loss. I'm not, and they haven't played each other. So what is the tiebreaker there? I'm not sure.
I think you go down next to common opponent.
Probably common opponent. Yeah, that would make the most sense. And I think probably Michigan would win that. But yeah, it'd be fascinating. And then USC is going to have a chance to play its way into the conversation as well because they play Oregon down the stretch of the season here. So if USC beats Oregon and finishes 10-2, then they only have one Big Ten loss, and they're probably going to the playoff too. So the Big Ten has several teams where it's basically right now it's looking like Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon are going to be three of the Big Ten teams in the playoff, right? And then you have USC that can play its way in there, and Iowa that can play its way in there. Iowa plays Oregon, and I believe Oregon down the stretch as well. They play Oregon this week. And so if Iowa wins that game, then you start to think of Iowa as a genuine college football playoff team. So, and maybe Oregon is being maybe on the fringe or being out, right? I think the Big Ten is more likely to get 3 teams this year than 4, but there are some teams that could play their way into it. Absolutely. And it'll be a fascinating end to the season as that 4th Big Ten team vies with maybe the 2nd Big 12 team, right? Vies with Notre Dame, who might finish 10-2, that kind of thing. So there's going to be a lot of teams right around that 10-2 mark. And we're going to have to see who gets those last 2-3 spots because it's going to be a lot of the committee deciding who's by the eye test, basically, who's actually really good.
Well, and all of that talk about the SEC and the Big Ten, you might as well add Notre Dame in it because they're not going away. They're going to get in with those 2 early losses because I cannot imagine them not winning out. But and they're sitting at 10th right now. They're not going to drop unless they were to lose, and I don't expect that. So you've got to count them in. And then the SEC or the ACC and the Big 12 have got to determine who their guys are going to be because we don't know. The ACC is up in the air. I don't even know who's going to be end up playing in the ACC championship because you've got Louisville and Virginia and Georgia Tech, Miami likely to not even make the CFP.
Right. I think it'll be interesting to see how the committee handles Miami versus Notre Dame tonight because they're both 6-2. But Notre Dame has won 6 in a row, and Miami has lost a couple in a row, or lost 2 of their last 3. But Miami beat Notre Dame head to head, right? How much does the committee value what you've done recently versus what happened at the beginning of the season? Is the committee taking your resume each game mattering the same, or is it weighting later in the season a little bit higher? Because how much are they determining with the eye test? Because right now the eye test, Notre Dame is better than Miami, but Miami won on the field. So how do they handle that? Because again, they're both 6-2. I'm fascinated to see what they do with that. So that'll be something to watch tonight as well.
Yeah, Oregon got Brian pointing out Oregon's got to go to Iowa. They play Minnesota. They play USC, and they've got to go to Washington. Washington is a sneaky good team as well. So they're playing 3 out of their 4 games are against very good teams.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be really nice for Indiana if Oregon was able to finish 11-1 because that would really bolster Indiana's case for staying in the top 4, even if they lose to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, which would be huge for Indiana. You get that bye, you get to the 2nd round. That'd be really important for IU. So they want Oregon to keep winning. And I am fascinated by that Oregon-Iowa game this week. I like Oregon going across the country to Kinnick with a team that is very, very good, but has shown some flaws. Right? They played with their food against Wisconsin a couple weeks ago, or last week, I should say. Indiana was able to get pressure against Oregon. I'm sure Iowa has watched that tape, and they are going to have some stuff on that defensive front for Oregon where it's like, hey, Dante Moore, you better be ready to go, right? Because he was he felt the pressure against Indiana, and that's what ended up costing Oregon the game. Is he was not able to step up in the pocket and move around and make plays. Has he been able to correct some of that stuff? Because Iowa is going to come and heat him up as well, because that's what they do.
Dylan Sinn from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette with us. JD Campbell going to join us next. We're going to have to.
I'm great, JD. Good to see you.
Hey, I got a question for you. I know you cover everything across the state. Do you want to go to AC/DC with me in South Bend when they come in September? You can't miss that.
I can't.
The real AC/DC.
Well, that's the real AC/DC.
It's the real AC/DC. Yeah. They're
invited, Jim.
What's that?
You're not invited. You can't go.
Damn.
You can't get in. You're on the no enter list, I think. So now, if it was
Luckily,
a rodeo,
I've seen him
you
once
could go.
before.
If it was a rodeo, you could go. But Dylan, it's good seeing you. Enjoy following you, and keep up everything.
It's great to see you too. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome to stick around, Dylan, if you want. The next segment, JD is going to join us. We're going to take a quick break and hopefully get that echo fixed. We've got more coming up right after these messages. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday. And I don't know what's going on with JD, but we've got an echo, brother.
I can't hear it right now. I'm good.
Now it's gone. It's good. We're great.
Of course, I can
went
fix
away.
anything.
You are the master.
Put a little
absolutely.
WD-40 on it, and it's gone.
Duct tape, and then duct tape it, and then it's all fixed. How was your weekend? What did you do? What sit around watch sports?
I had breakfast at 6:30 at Cloverleaf with my dad.
Oh, it wasn't at Tiffany's?
No, that came later in the day. Then I drove up to Cincinnati, where I renewed with a lot of my NKU people, wore an NKU shirt for the first time in 32 years, saw Darren Horn's practice. Darren was part of Tom Crean's staff, and so we had a relationship.
Oh.
And then I went to the Montgomery Inn up in Montgomery with T-Buck and got a free scoop of ice cream because it was Halloween at UDF. So next day I picked up my brother, who's actually my cousin, but we grew up in the same house together. And we drove from Frankfurt to Pompilios. and got to see Newport. And, what?
I said Pompilios. I just like to repeat it.
Pompilios.
I just like
That's
to
where they
repeat
film
it.
Rain Man.
Did they really?
Yes. Yes. The toothpick scene where he drops all the toothpicks. And then I drove him back home, went to the nearest La Rosa's and picked up a pizza to take home to my family, and then kept stopping because I thought, oh, there's a UDF. And so I went and got a vanilla malt and then made it home in time to watch the seventh game of the World Series. But, it was a great weekend.
It was a lengthy journey to get to that point.
It was actually, but when you hit some people, excuse me, some of these people I haven't seen in 20, 25 years, and especially the men's basketball coach at NKU, Kenny Shields, who's 80 and does not get around as much. But we picked him up, took him to lunch, and then got to go to his house. And he has 5 children, all who live within 5 minutes of him, which I think is really unique. He's got 16 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, and they all meet over at their house for Halloween for chili. So great, a lot accomplished.
So I'm looking up, holy crap, AC/DC is going to be at Notre Dame Stadium next year.
I told you.
I know that, but you didn't say Notre Dame Stadium, and I didn't know it was for real. But I've got to tell you, I've got to go to that game. I've got to go to that. For one thing, to see him at Notre Dame Stadium, that's cool as hell. I've seen him once, and it was at Freedom Hall in Louisville, which is another great venue. It's inside. But this is back when this was back in 2010 that I saw him. So I saw a thing on Mount Angus yesterday. His hair is completely white. Going around, he was still shredding the guitar in his schoolboy outfit, but his hair was completely white.
Well, it's funny when you think of it, what people thought of AC/DC in the 70s. And right now, going to see them is like in the 60s when you'd go see the Osmond Brothers, because they're one of the bands that absolutely will take you back to your youth and what they do and what they've survived. And I know they've lost a few members along the way, but evidently they still shred it. They're still really, really good. So
they lost their lead singer for a while. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Brian.
Brian.
Damn.
I know who you're talking about. He had some throat issues.
No, it was hearing. It was hearing. It was,
and they had
it blew his hearing out, and he couldn't hear. So there for a while, I would have loved to have seen this. Axl Rose filled in for a while, and that would have been cool. I'm a big Guns N' Roses fan as well. But that would have been cool to see Axl Rose being the lead singer for AC/DC. But hey, I'm going to that. Damn it! It's on a Friday too, so it will not interrupt a game.
All I can tell you is this: if people think hotel prices in Bloomington are bad on game week, try going up to South Bend. So.
I stayed at a place. I took my daughter there. Again, this was back around 2010 when Louisville and Notre Dame played up in South Bend. But I found a place out in a little lake. It was very, very cool. But hey, Notre Dame's one of the great places to visit if you're a fan. You go there, I'm telling you. They're waiting. There are people standing everywhere. Hey, welcome to Notre Dame. Can I help you? Do you need help? If you're looking to go see something with they have the grotto and the Golden Dome and all that stuff to go around to. But it's kind of like a museum.
Well, the whole, again, it's very much like Assembly Hall to a lot of people. And, you don't realize when you work at some place every day, it's just the place you work at. And then you see people come in and you show them around or do whatever. And they're like, wow. I've watched this on TV, and seen the band, the fight songs, and the legendary movies, and that's the great thing about what Indiana has, right now, and they've got it in basketball, and they're certainly in football, creating something that will last forever, and it's great to see. Great to see.
Absolutely. Someone was surprised to see that Axl Rose is from Indiana. I'm like, yeah, he's him and Izzy Stradlin, who were both founding members of Guns N' Roses from West Lafayette. But then you've got David Lee Roth, was born in Bloomington.
Yeah.
His dad Jackson, the Jackson 5. Yeah, his dad was a doctor here. And Michael Jackson and the Jacksons, Mellencamp. Pretty big Indiana. Not bad on the rock and roll side, man.
They've got a lot of great people from a lot of great industries and sports. And, right now, I haven't seen the list yet, but I know they'll have a lot of former Indiana high school kids playing in the NBA right now. So, including our Eric Gordon and Trace, two Mr.
Absolutely.
Basketballs.
So. Absolutely. And Eric Gordon, this has got like his 18th season in the NBA, I believe.
Yeah, he came my first year.
That's a career, people. I mean, very, very few people are able to make it 18 years in any professional league,
right?
Much less one as high as the NBA. JD Campbell with me, former IU's media relations director, sports information director. We call them SIDs, sports information directors. They've gone to the fancier titles now. Media relations director of media relations, those types of things, which is all fine, all good. Hey, so do you have more important things? You have access to tickets at this concert that I can purchase?
I have access to everything. And you know that.
Well, it was a rhetorical question, definitely.
First off,
I love the response though, as the head just goes back as if, are you really asking me that question?
You know better. You know better. One again, and I've said this before. My son's a police officer there. You don't think they're going to need police?
Oh.
And if you go to Halloween Spirit, you can buy a police outfit.
I forgot you have a son that's a police officer. You got one that's a police officer, the other one's still working in sports?
Detroit Lions.
What's he doing with the Lions?
He's one on their creative team.
Right, digital creative side.
Yeah, he designs programs. He's doing the thing that he's working on right now is he's in charge of the bowl game that they have there. So he does the program, he does all the graphics and things like that. And that means a lot to him because his first trip to I'm going to call it Lucas. Yeah. His first trip to Ford Field was when we played Northwestern in the Motor City Bowl and became the first MAC team to beat a Big Ten team. They had Randy Walker and some great players. And so he was in the stands and it's kind of surreal for him to be up there every day, be up there every day. But we're going Thanksgiving. That's a bucket list thing to go to.
Antoine Rendell still on staff?
I don't know. He was
the receivers coach.
Well, my wife knows more about it than I do, but I know, again, probably about 4 or 5 players. I know Goff. I know Hutchinson. And then I remember a little bit when I see him by number, but it's like everything else right now in sports. A lot of details I don't worry about. My phone never rings. A lot of people don't return text, and I'm okay with that. I really am. I mean, the stress level is, I worry about which documentary I'm going to watch at night.
Well, Antoine is no longer with the
Could he have gone to the Bears?
Lions.
Could he have gone to the Bears?
Exactly. He's in Chicago.
Yeah.
He is in Chicago now with the Bears.
Let's talk some baseball, because what a series, what a season, and now
what a finish.
The great part of the year for some baseball fans is, we hired Atlanta hired Walt Weiss yesterday after a lot of rumors to the contrary. And the free agent guys are opting out of contracts. And so there's going to be a whole slew of people available that are gambling a little bit. And maybe, guys are throwing away $19 million options. And so we'll see, we'll see. But that series was unbelievable. But I mean, to me, the turning point was in Game 6 when the guy hit it off the wall and it stuck for the ground rule double, because at least one run would have scored and he could have been on third if it gets away. And obviously the home runs certainly, but the catch maybe in the 10th inning where Kike Hernandez and I think it's Pagas collided in left center. If that ball drops, it's over.
Yep. It was a crazy end, man. They make that great catch. You've got a solo home run in the top of the 9th to tie the game, and then one by Will Smith, a Louisville native, to win that game. But then you also had Will Klein pitching in the game for the Dodgers, a former member of Bloomington North High School, who will be getting a ring.
Yeah, and I had the pleasure, the honor of having him work with our team for about a week one summer, and was able to message, his mom. And last week I met with Richard Hurt, and we talked about it. And, it's just, how many guys do we know in the World Series that have a moment like that? And we can sit back and think of all the different guys, the Bernie Carbos, the Ed Armbristers, the one of the Doyle brothers, who was on, I think, the Yankees, and helped them because they were injured. I think of Francisco Cabrera for the Braves. So,
Francisco Cabrera, man, I remember that. I was in television out in Washington. I remember that. Francisco Cabrera with the single to pass the shortstop into left field. I remember that thing. I don't know why, but I've only got about 30 seconds left. So so if you're going to have to get Mr. Klein to come on with us then one day. And
he lives in Arizona, so I don't know if he'll be coming back or not.
He doesn't have to come back. We can do this online, man.
Oh, okay.
That's why the great thing about technology. That's the great thing about technology.
Great thing about technology is I've got a lunch meeting at 11 o'clock and then another lunch meeting at 12:45. So
every day, you keep it up, brother. Today. You keep it up. Well, we've got to get out of here. Appreciate everybody. Thanks, JD, and thanks everybody else. Most importantly, thanks to each and every one of you. Without you, we've got no reason to be here. We're back tomorrow to do it again. We'll have plenty to talk about as the first college football playoff poll will be released. Who's going to be where? We'll find out. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.